Hi everyone! A while back, I made this needle felt wool sculpture of a cat-shaped dango. I really like cooking and baking things, so I decided to turn this sculpture into a real food item. If you want to see how I made this needle felt dango, check out my video in the description. I'll be following a recipe on YouTube which will also be in the description. Dango is a Japanese chewy snack on a skewer, kind of like mochi. I've never made it or had it before, so I have no idea what it's supposed to taste like. Have you guys ever made it or tasted it? For the actual dough, it's just glutinous rice flour with water, so it's really plain. There's no seasoning whatsoever, but it will have a sauce to go with it at the end, so hopefully that will add some flavor. I'm already getting so messy. I like to watch cooking videos on YouTube, and I don't know how to keep their work surface so clean all the time. Like, I couldn't keep the flour from getting on my camera while I was filming this. By the end of filming, my camera was so dirty because I kept touching it while adjusting camera angles. Also, I'm just using my hands to mix the dough, but I made sure to wash my hands. I had to wash my hands in between every cutscene before I touched the camera again to make sure that it wouldn't get dirty, but obviously that failed. I even made something similar to this before. It was a few years ago and the dough looked cute at first, but once I boiled it, they became monsters. So yeah, it was an epic fail. Hopefully this won't turn out like that time. I split up the dough into 3 parts for the colors. My goal is to make this look similar to the original artwork. I know the color of the dough will get darker once it's cooked, so if I want to make it pastel, then I will have to make it lighter than pastel. In this case, I think I made it too dark. My goal was to make a pastel color, so I should have made a lighter pastel pink and a lighter pastel green, but I didn't. Getting the colors right was one of the more difficult parts of this project. I didn't wear any gloves and I was afraid the food coloring was going to stain, but it didn't. Okay, now it's time for the sculpting. This is what I'm most excited about. The dough is really soft and smooth, as you saw in the mixing, so I really enjoyed working with it. It's not like those crumbly or super sticky doughs that are hard to shape. The dango balls are going to be cat shapes. It's fairly simple to make. All I'm doing is taking a chunk of dough and rolling it into a ball. I will try to make all the dough balls the same size. I'm not using a scale even though I have one. I just thought eyeballing would be fine. I'm going to make multiple skewers of dangos, so each skewer will have 1 ball of each color. For each color group, I made a total of 6 dango balls. I'm not trying to make them perfect right now, this is just for portioning out the dough. Later I'll shape and refine them. I also covered some of the other colors with plastic wrap to prevent it from drying out. As you can see, I'm taking some chunks out of the larger ones to give it to the smaller balls, so that it's the same size. I made an extra blob of dough for each color, which will be for the details. There's also 1 white dango ball left over. Okay, now it's time for the fun part. I'm going to make the ears on the dango balls. I'm just ripping off 6 chunks from the blob of dough. I have no idea how to properly make and sculpt pieces, so I'm just winging it. I'm sure that they will turn out fine even if I do it wrong. Now I just have to make it into a cat ear shape. So I kind of rolled each piece to get a cone, then I'm cutting the triangle shape in half to get 1 pair of ears for each cat. This will make them the right size since the original was way too big. The thing that made me want to do this video was the sculpting of the dough. I thought the dango would be easy to make since it can be sculpted easily like clay. To attach the ears, I'm just using a little bit of water and blending the edges of the ear onto the head. I really want to make sure that these pieces don't fall off in the water, so I blended them really well. These could look really cute right now, but once I put them in the water, it might turn out like those monsters. So let's hope that that doesn't happen. Making these kind of reminds me of when I was making clay projects for art class in elementary school. It's been years since I touched clay, but it kind of reminds me of that time. I'm more into drawing instead of sculpting. If you notice the original artwork, you can see that the pink cat has some paws. So I'm using a dot of water to attach a small sphere on the cat head like a paw. Of course, I had to blend it in so that it wouldn't fall off. I know the plate in the background looks really dirty, but it's just leftover dough pieces. I seriously have respect for those cooking YouTubers, like how do they keep everything so clean and nice? Maybe I'm just a messy person. Okay, now that we're done with green and pink, the white will be really simple. It's just a regular sphere shape. Nothing fancy here, I'm just rolling it into a nice ball. The raw dough balls are now finished. They look so satisfying on rolls. Now I'll be off to boil them. It'll be a very quick boil, and I also need to clean the dishes. There's a whole mess outside of the frame. They're done boiling, here's how they look right afterwards. They got so dark, right? I seriously wasn't expecting this. I mean, I knew it would get darker, but not like this dark. But you know, we can't go back, so we've got to work with what we've got. These Dango balls are super sticky. I tried to transfer them to a dry plate since the other one was wet from boiling, but they kept getting stuck to each other. It's like they're magnets coated in honey. Next, I'm going to make the faces. I'm planning on making chocolate face details on this parchment paper, and I'll place them on the Dango later. I just melted some dark chocolate, but the melted chocolate was super thick, so I added a tiny bit of coconut oil to make it thinner and easier to work with. I made sure to make the tip of the bag as tiny as possible so that I could get the details. I'm going to make 3 types of faces. They are all very simple lines, so this should be easy. I used needle felt artwork as a reference while I was drawing. Wow, I just realized that this cooking project has a lot of art-related things, like color mixing with the dough, sculpting, and now drawing. Sometimes the tip of the piping bag got stuck with hardened chocolate. As you can see, I'm making multiple copies of the same face. I know I'm going to mess up, and I'm sure that some faces will break. I just put the chocolate face details in the freezer so that it could set faster. I soaked some skewers in water earlier. Apparently, this is supposed to make the dango easier to be poked. Okay, now it's time for the gruesome part. We will impale the sharp skewer into the body of the cats. It's okay since they're going to get eaten anyway. I'm going to put them in the order of my original artwork. So first, stab the green cat. The water did help it slide on, but it's still a little bit sticky. These things are super sticky. Well, I guess that's what makes them chewy once you eat them. I pushed the green up the skewer so that the skewer would only have a small tip for the pink. I don't want to stab the pink cat all the way through the other side. Here's how it looks. It looks super cute so far. Now I'm going to repeat this with the rest of the dango balls. 3 balls on each skewer. Remember that extra white piece? Well, I'm adding that here to create a 4-ball dango. Kind of reminds me of a double-decker bus. Now I'm just peeling the chocolate off. The dango is really sticky, so you don't need any extra items to glue it on. Just pop it on like a sticker. The pieces are really small, so they melted fast. I don't know why it was melting. Maybe it was the heat of my hand or the coconut oil that I put in it. But my plan of making chocolate sticker faces was no longer going to work. That's why I decided to draw on the faces directly onto the dango. Luckily, I had practiced drawing all those faces on parchment paper earlier, so I knew how to make the faces. The chocolate was really hard to control though. The faces don't look as clean as the ones I did on paper. This method didn't allow me to get intricate details, so I simplified the faces a little. This is seriously a lot harder than I thought. I thought it would look better than the first method, but I think it actually looks worse because of the shaky lines. But don't be sad because the most important thing is the taste, right? Okay, the best part is here, the serving. This is a sweet, salty sauce. I just followed the same video for the recipe. I'm going to place the 3 dangos on the salty sweet sauce and 3 on the other plate. I heard that people also eat dango with red bean paste. I'm using leftovers from another project. Red bean paste is a really sweet, thick dessert paste. So now we have 2 different flavors of dango. Let's have a taste. I'll start with the salty sweet sauce. I think this is going to be really plain without the sauce, so I'll have to coat it well. The sauce is really strong, but the actual dango is really chewy. I really like it. As my first time trying dango, I don't think it's bad at all. Now let's try it with the red bean paste. It will be mixed with a little bit of the other sauce, but I think that's okay. Okay, I like this one a lot more. The paste is a lot milder than the sauce and it adds a richer flavor. I like the chocolate too, it adds some sweetness. The sauce previously was just too strong for me. It had kind of a sharp taste. These are so chewy and soft though. That was good. So do you think this was a success or a fail at trying to make a real-life version of my artwork? It still looks cute but doesn't look exactly like my original artwork. I think the darker colored dough is mostly to blame for that. Overall, I think it's really delicious and you should try it if you have the ingredients. Please like if you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.